Data collection is a big part of this program because we are an evidence-based program, and so we're always looking to make sure that we're proving that what we claim we do, which is fight childhood obesity, is what we're doing in all of our programs. So we're about to go through what that looks like in our data collection on test day and at your sites, and what it might look like during test week if we're asking you as site coordinators to run the week-long data collection at your site this semester.
So like I said, why do we collect? We collect so that we can prove that we are having the intended impact both locally, and we want to be able to compare ourselves nationally to other Soccer for Success operators. You saw that we're in operation in about 25 cities, so we want to see how Denver compares to other cities. And we want to be able to prove to our funders that we're a solid program and that we have proven results. When are we collecting? We come out to do pre-testing, or we do pre-testing during the first or second week of the program. This may be run by the program managers in one day, or it may be run by the site coordinators and coaches over 3 days, so during 1 week. Site coordinators and coaches are expected to run a makeup data collection day for any missing children during the third week, and then post-testing for all sites will occur after the 56th day of the program. Testing just has to occur 56 days apart, so we make sure that that happens. And site coordinators are expected to run a second makeup day for any missing children. And again, with post-testing, this will either be run on 1 day with the program manager or over 3 days with just site coordinators and coaches. And what are we collecting when we do these data collections? We're measuring the kids' BMI with their height and weight. We also take their waist circumference. We measure their aerobic capacity with the PACER test or BEEP test. We do a child nutrition survey, which measures their nutritional awareness and their character development. And then we measure their soccer skills with foundations and figure eights. So this is kind of how things will work logistically. If a program manager comes in to do data collection, we'll do all of this in 1 day, and each of these things will be a station. If the data collection is being run by site coordinators and coaches, each of these things will happen on 1 day. So the first station or first day will be height, weight, and waist circumference, in which case 1 male and 1 female coach will need to be in the room to measure the kids at all times. One other coach will also need to be there to supervise the kids that are not being measured and are waiting outside of the classroom at the same time. Station 2 or day 2 will be the PACER test. The site coordinator and one coach, the coach for whichever team is running the PACER at that time, will need to be at the site helping manage that. And then station 3 or day 3 will be when the nutrition survey is administered by the site coordinator. This can be done during snack while the kids are eating or at the end of practice. And then the soccer skills assessment will be done with the coach and all of their team, and the coach should not need additional assistance with this. It should be a pretty simple thing. Both the soccer skills assessment and the nutrition survey are only for grades 3 through 5, so kinder, first, and second graders do not need to do those things on day 3.
So as site coordinators, if you're managing the whole week-long data collection, these are kind of the important things to make sure you're remembering on day 1. For all your measurements, you want to make sure that we're taking them inside a classroom and out of sight of other children. But we want to make sure that the door is open at all times so that the interactions between the 2 coaches and the 2 students inside the classroom who are being measured and doing the measuring are interruptible at all times and observable. Children who are not being measured should stand outside of the classroom with a different coach who's kind of managing that line and managing behavior outside. So if you are not using your coaches for this, if you're using staff from the school, you might be using a nurse or other paras to help you with this. That's totally okay. We just want to make sure that someone's outside kind of managing that behavior in the hallway. I've had a lot of success having kids play quiet games like telephone while they're sitting in a line there. We want to make sure that male coaches are measuring boys and female coaches are measuring girls. So on that day, you want to make sure that you have both a female and a male coach on staff. Or if you don't have a female and male coach on staff for that day, you want to make sure that you're asking a nurse or someone else on staff at the school if they can stay after for 45 minutes to help you measure some kids. When those kids are outside waiting to come in to be measured, you can ask them to remove their shoes and tuck their shirts in. We want to make sure that they're in light clothing so that we're getting accurate measurements. And we want to make sure that the coaches who are doing the measuring aren't repeating those scores out loud so that all the other kids can hear. Also, on day 1, when we're measuring weight, we want to make sure that the scale is on a flat, hard surface. We're measuring pounds exactly as they read on the scale. And when we're measuring height, we want to make sure the kid's back goes against the statiometer or the ruler, and we're going to record to the nearest 1/8 inch. And we're measuring waist circumference. We want the kids' shirts to be tucked in, and we're going to measure right at their belly button. Try to have the kids relax, breathe a little bit. Sometimes they puff out or suck in. We just want to make sure that we get an accurate read, so try to make them relax, and then we record to the nearest 1/4 inch. On all data collection sheets, there is a ruler at the bottom, so you can see what an 1/8 of an inch looks like. Clearly it's not to scale, but you'll be able to see what the marcation is, so you can look for that on the ruler and the tape measure. If a child says that they don't want to be measured and they don't want to participate, they certainly don't have to. I try to encourage them to participate and let them know that this is how we make the program better for them, but they certainly are not required to participate. We don't want to make them uncomfortable. Also, encouraging them to do the pacer is a little bit different than encouraging them to get on the scale. So I'd be sensitive to that and do encourage them to do the pacer and let them know that that's something they can work on and set goals for, but be sensitive to, body issues. Make sure that only male coaches are measuring male students and only female coaches are measuring female students, and both the adult and child, both the adult screener and the child are inside of another adult coach at all times. On day 2, we have kids run the pacer test, and they're going to run this on a 20 or 15 meter course. You may have run it as a beep test. It's the same thing. We try to use the same course for pre and post testing, so typically it's done in a gym. We want it on a flat, dry surface so the kids aren't sliding all over the place. And we're recording the successful number of laps, not levels, for each participant. So you're counting every single time they go from one cone to the next cone. Players are done after they miss 2 beeps. So if they don't make it from one cone to the next cone, they still have a chance to make it to the next cone, and if they don't make that one, then they're out. Older children can pair up and help you keep track of scores if that's helpful for you. If not, don't worry about it. And sometimes with the younger kids, I have to get coaches to help run with them to get them kind of engaged a little bit more. And then during the post-test, it's important to remind them of their pre-test score and remind them that they're trying to beat themselves and show how much better they've gotten over soccer season. So try to do that. Try to get them excited about it. You'll be surprised how into this just running test kids can get. So when you're doing these rotations, you'll have, whatever it is, 1 to 3 to 4 teams outside playing, doing their soccer stuff, and you'll bring one team in at a time to do BMI measurements. Once that team's done, they go outside, send in the next team. And you'll just do that rotation for the first day. On the second day, you'll do the same thing with the pacer. So all the kids are getting their soccer practice while one team is doing the data collection. And I'm happy to come in and work with you on that, make sure that it will run smoothly if you'd like. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Don't get too intimidated by all of this. I think that it can run really smoothly if we plan for it.
Massive Aerobic Cardiovascular Endurance Run is a multi-stage fitness test adapted from the 20-meter shuttle run test. The test is progressive. It is easy at the beginning and gets harder. Set to music, this test is a valid, fun alternative to the customary distance run test for measuring aerobic capacity. The pacer is recommended for all ages. The objective of the test is to run as long as possible back and forth across a 20-meter space at a specified pace, which gets faster each minute. The first step will be in marking the 20-meter course with marker cones to divide lanes and a tape or chalk line at the end. Each runner should be allowed a pathway 40 to 60 inches wide. It may be beneficial to mark the lane lines with chalk or cones. Before test day, allow students to listen to several minutes of the tape so that they know what to expect. Students should then be allowed at least 2 practice sessions. Prior to the beginning of the tests, allow the students to select a partner. Have the students line up at the start line. The students that are recording the score should be behind the start line or on the sideline with a copy of the score sheet. The recorder will count the number of laps the participant completes. In the PACER test, a lap is one 20-meter distance from one end to the other. The recorded score is the total number of laps completed by the participant.
So that video just kind of gives you an idea of what the PACER looks like when you get it all set up, and what the objectives are. But if you do have any more questions, please do reach out. Day 3 is the nutrition survey, or the first component of day 3 is the nutrition survey. So kids can do this during snack time. You can have them do it after snack, after practice. Have them come in for a little early. You can have them do it in rotations, like you've had them do BMI and PACER. Whatever makes sense for you is fine with us. They can do it inside of a classroom or outside on the field, but they need to have a surface that they can write on. And we just want to emphasize that the survey is not a test and that they're not going to receive a grade, but that it's the best way for them to help us improve the program. Feel free to read the survey out loud to the kids. We can answer questions about the questions to help them understand what the questions are asking, but don't help the participants answer the questions. Also on day 3, your coaches will do a soccer skills assessment. As I mentioned earlier on day 3, these two components, the nutrition survey and the soccer skills assessment, are only for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, or 6th through 8th grade if you have a 6th through 8th team. So K through 2 is done after getting BMI and PACER done. But your coaches will have all been trained on how to do the soccer skills assessment. They can do it out on the field by themselves. They shouldn't need any assistance, but if they do, please offer it to them. The soccer skills assessment is designed to test some basic soccer skills, and it's supposed to complement the mentorship aspect of the program, so it's supposed to help the coach and the child set goals together and kind of build a relationship over the course of the season. And as I said, it's going to be administered by the coaches out on the field. The soccer skills assessment is 2 skills. We do it with foundations and with figure 8s. All these procedures are in your binder with the data collection stuff. It's also found in your curriculum. And if you have any questions about this, you can reach out to me again. But here's kind of the procedure for foundations. The coaches are just going to set up a 5x5 yard grid using 3 cones every 2.5 yards. Using 1 cone every 2.5 yards. So 3 cones will make up each line of the 5x5 yard grid, and each grid will have 4 players working in that box in pairs. Players will do foundations for 20 seconds without stopping. That's just knocking the ball in between their feet, trying to get as many touches as possible. 1 player will count for their partner while the partner does the foundations, and then that pair will decide how many the player got and report it to the coach. They go for 20 seconds and switch, report that second score, and then we can move on to figure 8s. Figure 8 dribbling is done in the same grid. This is why we set up 3 cones 2.5 yards apart. 3 cones 2.5 yards apart. Players start at the end of the cones and dribble through, going 180 degrees at the end to come back. Their partner is going to count how many cones they pass, and that's the number that they will report to the coach. So the coach will record that number, and then the partners will switch. This semester, we will pay you for entering your registration forms into Salesforce. It'll be $20 per team that you enter, and it probably takes maybe up to an hour to enter a team's worth of information. You're going to enter the information on those first few pages, the student and parent information. And it's all going into the U.S. Soccer Foundation's database so that we can track all of the data that we're collecting on the kids and track their attendance and all that kind of stuff. So the detailed instructions on how to enter registration forms can be found in the data collection section of your site coordinator binder. If you have any questions about that, you can reach out to us, but it's a great way to earn some extra cash, and it helps us out a ton. So please do it if you can make some time for it.